Let me start by saying yes, these glasses are indeed blue light. No, they are not prescription. Okay. And also, I know I'm always in a tube top, but this is actually a dress this time, so it's not the same one. I want to talk about white supremacy and how it manifests in modern day society. A lot of the times people like to talk about white people as if they are now equal to us and racism doesn't exist anymore, for real, not for real. Like, the only racist people are in the deep south and rural areas that nobody ever visits and blah blah blah. You're wrong. Sorry. I have my iPad here, so I will be looking at notes and things like that. I will be reading some definitions off. I just got this and I'm still like typing on it like an old person. So some of my movements might seem a little strange, but I'm just looking at my iPad. Okay. So oftentimes we talk about how white people never move out the way for anybody on the sidewalk. It's not just something that we happen to notice. You know, this is not something that white people do by accident or that they do as a result of them just never thinking about it. This is by design. Modern day white people may not actively say, let me not move out the way for this black person on the sidewalk. Sometimes they do, though, I promise you. It's literally the fact that white people have never been in a position to where they were expected to inconvenience themselves for the benefit of somebody else, okay? Historically, white people have curated their lives and their part in society, in Western society, so that it's one that is it is one that's full of ease, so that it's one that makes it so that they are inherently above everybody else in every single way. You interact with people on a day-to-day basis in a way that allows for you to feel that you are superior to them, no matter what. Like, whether it's through the fact that they got cleaner water fountains and shit and they didn't have to step off the side of the sidewalk. This was an unspoken rule. This was a common detail in Southern culture. So during the Jim Crow era, quote unquote, stepping off the sidewalk refers to a deadly social etiquette in the United States where black people were forced to yield the right of way to white pedestrians, also known as giving whites the wall. Failing to immediately step into the grass or street could result in severe violence or death. So now for the origin of this custom. The expectation to yield priority stemmed from a deeply ingrained race-based caste system that treated black Americans as second-class citizens, originating largely in post-Civil War South and extending well through the Jim Crow era. The unwritten quote-unquote rule mandated that white pedestrians could never be forced to walk on the outer edge of the sidewalk or step into the street. If a black person did not proactively step aside, they could face verbal abuse, physical beatings, or false arrests for disturbing the peace. This is by design. Like, we talk so often about racism, microaggressions, things of that nature in modern day society as if they are just coincidences. No, these quote unquote microaggressions exist as a result of Jim Crow era expectations and rules and regulations and systems that kept black people oppressed, and therefore every other kind of person of color by default. Because remember, the only reason why other people of color are not seen as second-class citizens today is because of the work that black people did. Let's never let anybody forget that. So it's deeper than white people not wanting to or not thinking about stepping aside on the sidewalk. And even if we did debunk that, even if we did debunk how white people don't even have the thought to step aside for somebody else on the sidewalk, you have never lived in a world that does not adhere to your every need. You have never lived in a world that did not require you to inconvenience yourself in any way. So of course, when it comes to you walking down the street, or somebody needing to be let into the car line, or somebody asking you to wait in line for longer than you want to, or somebody not wanting to give up their seat on the airplane for you, the thought does not even pop up into your head, oh, the reason why I think I'm entitled to this is because I'm a white person in America and I've already been given everything that I ever want. So of course I think that you need to give it to me too. James Baldwin said that, quote, "It is certain in any case that ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." What does this mean? As a white person in America, as a white person in Western society, you are inherently powerful. It doesn't matter whether you have money. It doesn't matter whether you're a nepotism baby. It doesn't matter who you know, what you know, whatever. Your whiteness is a superpower in itself. And so when you combine that with ignorance, and you combine that with your inability to attack what you've been taught, your inability to understand the intersections of the world and understand what oppression looks like and understand how you have enforced these microaggressions to people who do not have the same privilege as you, enforce those microaggressions on people who do not have the same privilege as you. That is, as James Baldwin says, that is the most ferocious enemy that justice can ever have. Because you are not doing the work and you are not able to actually undo the remnants of systemic racism that exists in modern day society. There is still a residue left behind by racism. And it exists through ignorance, and it exists through the ignorance of modern day white people, whether or not they posted a black square in 2020. I'm sorry. You don't have to be calling people the N-word on Discord nowadays in order to be a racist. You are a racist unless you have actively attacked your mind and made sure that you are not a racist. And even then, how do I know that you are done undoing your bias? All white people have bias against black people because society has trained you to be that way. And that is why they don't move out the way on the sidewalk for you. Because the thought never even pops up into their head that maybe I should inconvenience myself for this little monkey on the sidewalk. And usually I don't call us that, but that's what they're thinking. I'm trying to put it in perspective for you guys. We talk about how white people are so annoying because they never do anything that can cause themselves to be inconvenienced, but that is way more significance than we have ever thought. Like, as a white person in America today, you need to be inconveniencing yourself constantly for people of color. Like, when that man was going around to white people asking them to buy him stuff like that because it was Black History Month, they should be enthusiastically saying yes, and what else do you want? Because you have never had to be in a bind. You have never had to be in a situation, in the same kind of situations that black people have had to be in historically, that make us as communal as we are. We are constantly willing to help each other. We are constantly finding ways to make one another's lives easier because we did not have the systemic privilege of having the upper hand in our everyday lives. So what did we do? We filled in each other's gaps. We helped each other if I couldn't help myself in this way, you helped me in that way, and I helped you in another way. And I gave you what I could give you. You gave me what you could give me. Because we know what it's like to be lacking in some areas. When you have never experienced lack, you have never experienced the joy of being of service to other people. I love that there are some things that other people may not be able to give to themselves or may not be convenient for them to do that I am more than willing to do. Because that's how I was raised. And that's how many black people were raised. That's how many people of color were raised. It's a part of our society. Like, this is a European practice to not be of service to people that you see in your everyday life. That's a European practice, and we were not like that pre-colonization. We were very communal people, and we still are, just not in the same way. Obviously, that is what white supremacy has done to us. It has separated us from our roots and separated us from our traditions of being so interconnected and communal. But I do think that regardless of the fact that we are in a recession, we are starting to return to these practices. And probably one of the reasons why we are returning to these practices is because everybody's broke and nobody can afford childcare. Nobody can afford to pay for an Uber to the airport. So now we're like, okay, like, let me help you out real quick. And although we should not have to be going through financial hardship in order to, you know, return to these practices that kept us together and kept us one with one another, I'm glad that it's happening as a result of that. Anyway, back on topic. Yes, I know it's annoying, but I will bump you in the shoulder if you're walking on the sidewalk and you expect me to just step out the way for your white ass. I don't care. I will not do that. One time I was walking on Melrose and these British white ladies were walking past me. I was on the side of the sidewalk closest to the wall. Like, I had no room. So I stood my ground. I walked past these white ladies and I bumped one of them in the shoulder real hard. And she was just like, oh my God. Oh my God. And they were all looking at me. And I just kept walking. You should have moved out the way, little white lady. There's 3 of you. Y'all can stand still real quick so that I can walk past. Anyway, I just wanted to say that really quickly because we need to stop talking about things that we notice in everyday society and not debunk them and not understand why things are the way that they are and go beneath the surface. So hopefully this was beneath the surface enough for you guys. Yeah, and since I'm home now, back in LA, I will be trying to post more consistently. I know I say that at the end of every video, but you'll see when the next one comes. Okay, bye guys.